The opinions and statements made on the Josh Bernstein Show are solely those of the host and do not reflect those of any of the show's advertisers or sponsors.
President Trump could cure cancer tomorrow and rescue kittens from a burning building, and they'd still call him a piece of I don't want to drain the swamp. What I want to do is I want to drown these swamp monsters in their own swamp water.
And now, America's favorite bald badass, Josh Bernstein.
Welcome back to the program. So, on today's show, this is going to be one for the ages, okay? I haven't done a show like this in a while, and I do apologize for that. It's just been, been busy, been doing a lot of different things, but I've come back with a vengeance. This is going to be a classic for sure. We're going to cover a lot of really interesting things. We're going to have some really interesting videos. So let's start first with this. We've been all talking about Joe Biden, and we've been talking about the fact that he has dementia. I have said it myself. I'm guilty of it myself. I have said that it reminds me a lot of my late father, who eventually passed away from Alzheimer's, dementia, whatever you want to call it, in a memory facility in New Jersey. Well, I've been saying that a lot of the things that I see with Joe Biden, I've seen with my father. And I still keep to that exact thing even today. But I'm not an expert, and I'm not a doctor. However, this guy is. He is a Democrat, too. I want everyone to know that. And this guy literally said that he can diagnose Joe Biden from across the way in a shopping mall for Parkinson's disease. Now, we've heard about the stories about 8 different Parkinson's visits by a Parkinson's doctor at least 8 times at the stolen White House, right? And of course, they've kept that under wraps. They've kept that quiet. We now know that his corrupt doctor is in business with him, so you're not going to get any kind of real answer from that either. So it was interesting that the prostitutes on NBC decided to bring on a quadruple board certified neurologist who specializes in neurological disorders, but in particular, Parkinson's disease. And this is what he had to say. Go and roll this clip.
Visits by the Parkinson's expert. I'm joined tonight by Dr. Tom Pitts. He's a quadruple board certified neurologist. He sees patients with Parkinson's all the time. He diagnoses it. I want to be completely transparent here. You've never examined President Biden. From my knowledge, you've never even spoken yet to President Biden.
Been in the same room as
and we're just going to use what we have so far, which is what we've seen, the president's interviews, and the information coming out of the White House. So my first question to you is, as somebody who's a neurologist, what you've seen from the president over the last 2 years, what you saw at the debate, the last few interviews, the way he speaks, the way maybe he walks, have you noticed anything that gives you a red flag as a doctor?
Oh, yeah, I see him 20 times a day in clinic. I mean, it's ironic because he has just such classic features of neurodegeneration. I mean, word finding difficulties, and that's not, I couldn't find the word. That's from degeneration of the word retrieval area.
He's also overcome stuttering, though. Could that be part of that, too?
No, this is not a palatal issue or a speech discrepancy, which is very different from a lemino dysfunction, actual word retrieval, where you pick a similar question or talk around the issue, plus the rigidity, monotone voice.
Wait, go back to that, the rigidity. What do you mean?
Rigidity, loss of arm swing, standing up lordotically. You notice when he turns, it's kind of end block turning. It's not a quick turn. So that's one of the hallmarks of Parkinsonism is rigidity and bradykinesia, slow movement. And he has that hallmark, especially with the low voice that said was a cold hypophonia. A small monotone voice like this over time is a hallmark of Parkinsonism. I could have diagnosed him from across the mall.
Here are some of the symptoms from Parkinson's. We just had him up there on the screen. If we can put him back. What about the movement? Some people have pointed out the way he walks. Sometimes it's not very fast, small steps. Is that something that is common in people who are battling a disease like Parkinson's?
Yeah, it's a hallmark. Shuffling gait, we call that, so little steps. Loss of arm swing from the rigidity. When we walk, we have a nice cadence. You notice he doesn't really swing his arms. And end block turning, meaning he kind of pivots around his foot. If you said, hey, President Biden, he wouldn't go like this.
But I also know, tell me if I'm wrong here, it's very hard to diagnose Parkinson's, isn't it? it's not simple. I mean, I've heard that it can be.
It's one of the easier movement disorders to diagnose, actually,
right?
But it's so clinic. There's very little other. And I'm a Democrat. I would say at this,
right?
It's just like this guy is not a hard case.
But I've had relatives who have gone through neurological issues, and I've heard that sometimes Parkinson's is not very easy to nail. You have to take a lot of tests.
It's early on. If you're just presented with like hallucinations, that could be a variety of things, or just the cognitive problems. That could be Alzheimer's versus Parkinsonism, and that becomes a little nebulous. But once you start manifesting the hallmark motor symptoms,
right?
Slow movement, rigidity, mass facies, hypophonia. I mean, if a med student did not pick Parkinson's on the test, they'd be remediated.
So let me ask you, if you had, and I know you can't. You have no idea what happened in the White House, but a neurologist coming 8 times in 8 months, does that tell you anything? Is that? I mean, I know you're just sort of speculating here, but does that tell you anything or no?
Well, I mean, I don't know if they're like the best of friends or something, but that's a very specific, he's a movement disorder. That's a subspecialist in exactly what he has. And there's very few young people, like a Marine Guard. Most people would be med boarded out for any type of movement disorder at a young age. Like if you had Huntington's, chorea, early onset Parkinson's, dystonia, bad essential tremor, you're usually med boarded out. So I highly doubt there's.
What does that mean, med boarded out?
I mean, the military would not let you, if you have seizures, for example, you cannot usually be in the military. That is, you are.
So you're saying you don't necessarily believe, and they're not saying this, but they said there's thousands of military members that go to the White House and are treated there for health reasons.
Yeah.
You're not buying that that's a random military person.
No, that would be very odd to just see a random movement disorder case at the White House, especially a young guard. There aren't many young people that have movement disorders that could be in the military.
And then, a lot of people have called for a cognitive test. What exactly would that entail? What does that mean?
Now, that's the key, because word finding retrieval doesn't necessarily mean you don't know what you want to say. What I cannot comment on is his ability to make good decisions. His motor symptoms are degenerating. He has Parkinsonism. That is a fact. He has degeneration of the brain. Show me the MRI. Show me he doesn't. Put your money where your mouth is. He definitely has it. But the problem is, when you look at his situation, you can't say, oh, I know for a fact that because he didn't retrieve the word, he didn't know what he wanted to say. And that's why both him and Trump should take the 4-hour neuropsychological testing, which is the hallmark test for cognitive performance.
What do you do in this test?
A lot of things. So, for example, they may have you say as many words as you can in a minute that start with F. Block building, retrieval. I may say cup and have you recall it 3 minutes later. Trail drawing. These are done with a professional PhD in neuropsychology. It has nothing to do with psychiatry. And we can tell if you have vascular.
It's 4 hours long?
4 hours. It's a full day. We tell people bring a snack. It is a full day. And so not the MOCA, which was a bedside test that President Trump took. These are tests that are screening tests. They don't rule in, if you do great.
There's no way to sort of lie in this test, to sort of ace it, even though you're sick.
No way. This one will come out in the wash. For example, if I do the bedside exam to an accountant and I ask them, what's 100 minus 7? Even the worst neurodegenerative patient, if they worked at a high education level or something like that, is going to get that right. But in the 4-hour test, it will come out.
Finally, I mean, you said you're a Democrat, you're a doctor. You sound like you're frustrated with what the White House is saying.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because, I'm an American before everything. And I look at it and say, when I used to see Russia, Soviet Union, North Korea, when they just make outrageous things, like when North Korea can't keep the lights on and they say, oh, it was some faulty power thing. I kind of hate that kind of stuff. They had 4 years. My own party had 4 years to find, this was a wreck in slow motion. And they had 4 years to find, out of 350 Americans, one person that could take the place. And here we are the day before school trying to do the homework and replace a guy who's got a neurodegenerative disease.
Dr. Pitts, we thank you for joining Top Story. And again, I know you've never examined President Biden. I want to say that you've never spoken to President Biden, but you're going off what you've seen on television and interviews and all of your expertise.
Yeah.
Doctor, we appreciate that.
Thanks.
There it is, in a nutshell. So his new nickname from now on is going to have to be Parkinson Joe, because that's what he has. They're denying it. They're trying to say that he doesn't. But, I start thinking about it. My father, who passed from dementia, his sister, my aunt, she has Parkinson's right now. And she does have, her marbles for the most part. But she does definitely slip. And she does say things that are repetitive at times. She asks me if I'm Jacob when we talk a lot of times. So, it's clearly affecting her as well. The last time I saw her, she was shaking, visibly shaking. Again, this was a few years ago, so I would only imagine that it's probably even worse by now. And I'm not an expert on Parkinson's or anything like that. I saw my father up close and personal, of course. And, I'm obviously 3,000 plus miles away from the majority of, my family back east. But regardless, these are some of the symptoms. Now, this guy, as he said, is a Democrat. He said, I'm a Democrat. And he said, this is the only person that they could put, and they're trying to do their homework at the last minute and all this other stuff. And then what else did I get from this? Well, obviously the prostitute. Well, don't you think it's a hard thing to diagnose? And the guy's like, actually, no, it's actually really easy. And clearly he is suffering from Parkinson. So there it is. I think that this narrative is not going to go away. It's going to get bigger, and a lot more people are going to know exactly what's wrong with him. And then the people are going to have to say to themselves, do we trust somebody who is 81 years old with Parkinson's disease or dementia or both or COVID injury? Who knows what is going on in his brain? Don't forget, he had other issues with his brain. He had operations. I believe he had aneurysms in like the 70s or 80s. So he has had issues basically with his brain for a very long time. And of course, his son, who did not die in war, did not die in Afghanistan, did not die in Iraq or anywhere else, died, of course, of brain cancer. So there is a history in the Biden family of neurological disease and issues and problems. So I hope he stays in the race. That's all I can say. I hope he stays in the race. I hope that he is the nominee, because the numbers I'm going to show on Full Access Friday's show that some of the numbers are unbelievable. And even in places like New York, of all places, where he's actually competing now, President Trump, okay? And it's kind of like a boat, right? If you have holes all over your boat and the boat's going down, guess what? Your little holes are Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin. Those are your small holes. Your big holes that are going to take the boat down are New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Maine, Vermont, Rhode Island, Oregon, Washington State, Colorado. Those are your big holes. So the best thing that could happen here is that he stays on the ticket, and they have to then divert funds to protecting New York and Illinois and some of these other big blue states that they normally win all the time. And guess what? Maybe they don't have the money or the apparatus to steal in the places that they normally would, which would be the swing states. But we'll talk about that at another time as well. Now, clip number 2. This one is very interesting. So the new narrative, I guess, for the media, liars out there, the prostitutes, is, well, it's not Biden that has the mental issues and is slow and can't walk upstairs and all that. No. No, it's the convicted felon, right? They love to throw that out there. It's President Trump. He's the one that has the neurological issues. He's the one that's slow. He's the one that can't play golf. He's the one this and that, right? Well, meanwhile, we now know that the Biden fake regime said hell no to the golf challenge, even though President Trump offered him 20 strokes, okay? And he still said no, because they know it's all bullshit. They know that he can't even get out of the cart. He don't even know where the ball is, okay? And even if he did, if he bent down to put it down on the ground, what do you think would happen? He'd fall over, okay? There's no golf here. This is unbelievable. So that's their new narrative. Their narrative is for you to now somehow believe that this man, President Trump, who's 77 years old, who has done already in 2024 30 rallies already, okay? Already 30. And some, I think he did double rallies in at least 2 or 3 days. In other words, 2 or 3 days of those scheduled rallies, he had more than one rally, at least 2 rallies in that 30 rally span, basically, okay? I don't even think Biden can do 30 press conferences. And I don't think he's done 30 press conferences in his entire fake presidency, if you want to know the truth. Okay? He can't even look at a teleprompter. All right? So again, it's unbelievable. But this is an interesting video that I found. President Trump, yes, he's a good golfer. No question about it. But you know what? Overall, he's an excellent athlete, and he has been his entire life. Go and roll this clip.
All right, fellas, here we go.
Beauty.
You think Biden can hit a ball like that? He couldn't get it past the first tee. Yeah, he wouldn't get it off the lady. Forget where he hit.
Did he hit it? He went behind him.
Well, he sucks.
Oh, nice. Good shot. Good shot.
Right.
Washington National fans.
Dr. Anthony Fauci.
The Sandman playing at Yankee Stadium, and this guy walked in like it was nothing to it, and he just blew him away. My wife, I said to the First Lady, she was asking me, why do they play the Sandman? What does it mean? I said, he just put the batters to sleep, right? It's good. Oh, look, coaches, here they are. These are the real guys. Everybody smile now. You're all going to be major leaguers someday, right? Any major league prospects, Coach? I think so. Oh, everyone.
There's Ivanka in a dress billowing like Marilyn Monroe's and high heels instead of golf shoes.
How awesome is that? The guy's in a suit, and he's hitting the ball back, you know, like he's John McEnroe. Unbelievable. He's diving on the ground in a volleyball game to get a dig. And then he's fist up in the air. He's throwing the ball around. We've seen him throwing footballs, right? He's got a great golf swing. He's athletic. He doesn't have any neurological issues. It is Joe Biden, thankfully, that does. And so no one even sees that clip. And I love how it ends, right? Isn't the end the best? You literally have his daughter in high heels out there, like rubbing it in at the last minute. I love it. Sorry, I had to show you all of that as well. Now, this last clip, and actually we're going to do one more after that, but this last clip, this clip, President Trump, if he was smart, and anyone watching or any surrogate would be playing what I'm going to show you on BET, Black Entertainment Television, at the Rap Awards, at the R&B Hip Hop Awards, everywhere, every single swing state, every single blue city in this country has to see what I'm about to show you right now. Go and roll this clip.
This has been an issue for over 10 years, whether to ban menthol cigarettes. Biden doesn't want to pass this regulation because he's worried that he'll lose black voters if he bans these menthol cigarettes that are used by millions of times. There are concerns that you might not want to do something like criminalize a product that's used by tons of black people. especially before an election where Biden needs black voters. So we're being sued, saying like you should pass this regulation now. There's no excuse to hold it up. So if people are dying of regulation for cigarettes, you should pass it now. So we're defending that. This will definitely affect the election. Unfortunately, we're not supposed to consider that.
When the FDA chooses to regulate a product, they do so to protect the health of Americans, or at least that's what they say. But what happens when Americans like that product and it's an election year? Meet Isaac Belfer, a trial attorney for the Department of Justice at the Consumer Protection Branch. Belfer is an attorney defending the government on a controversial case involving years-long efforts by public health groups to ban the use of menthol in cigarettes.
Do you think it could be banned? Oh, yeah. Yeah. These products are horrible. I mean, I think all cigarettes need it. But, like, FDA doesn't have authority to do that. That would need to be Congress. I think like 75% of black smokers smoke menthol. Probably because like cigarette companies have targeted the black community. Many thousands of black people die every year because of menthol cigarettes.
Federal ban on menthol cigarettes has been delayed again. The White House said Wednesday it will now issue a final rule on the ban next March. It was originally supposed to come this past August.
Despite the American Lung Association's urging of President Biden to end the sale of menthols as soon as possible to save lives, the decision continues to be kicked down the road. The delay, Belfer tells Project Veritas, is because menthol smokers are overwhelmingly black, and Biden needs their votes.
The menthol does make smoking, it makes it more addictive, harder to quit, leads to lots of deaths. So there is a proposed rule to ban menthol cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And many people want that rule to pass, right, from the public health community, but many people do not. Or at least studies funded by the tobacco industry suggest that many people do not. Whether those studies are reliable, I don't know. But the tobacco industry obviously would not want this because they need, billions of dollars to menthol cigarettes. So they don't want to ban the pass. So they fund these studies, and the studies indicate that there's a concern that if you ban these products, that will not be popular among the black community. So people don't want to criminalize something that thousands of black people use. They don't want to introduce police in the black neighborhoods for this additional reason. There are criminal justice issues. So yeah. Well, not so far. That's the narrative. That Biden doesn't want to pass this regulation because he's worried that he'll lose black voters if he bans these menthol cigarettes that are used by millions of black people. That's the narrative. Even if it's not technically a crime to possess menthol cigarettes, just making them illegal could give cops an excuse to go to the black community and say where'd you get this product? You shouldn't have this. By the way, let me search you and here's some drugs, now I'm going to prosecute you. There is a very strong public health reason to prohibit use. There are concerns that you might not want to do something criminalize a product that's used by tons of black people. Right. Especially before an election where Biden needs black voters. Yeah. So the FDA pulled off the election? Well, so that's the thing. There's kind of a complicated administrative process. FDA has basically passed it along to another agency. So FDA, as far as FDA's concerned, they want this regulation to pass. Right. But there are other, it's kind of now being reviewed by kind of a central office within the office of the executive office of the president. So the broader White House, their reviews all regulations. This one is a big one. So it's basically been pending within OMB since October. And they're going to take it off from the Well, I don't know. I don't know. But there's certainly a narrative out there that they're holding this up for political reasons. So we're being sued, saying you should pass this regulation now. There's no excuse to hold it up. There's people are dying of regulation for cigarettes. You should pass this now. So we're defending that. the thing is, like, I don't know to what extent, like, the opposition to this regulation is sometimes manufactured by the tobacco industry. Because they are not, disinterested parties here.
Well, it's just, but it's a campaign. If they ban it before November, you know, it's not the use.
Yeah. I mean, this will definitely affect the election. Of course, like, we're not supposed to consider that. Like, that's not an acceptable consideration deciding whether like pass the regulation.
But so they told you to hold off on arguing with you? Blame?
I'm not going to get into that.
Oh.
So yeah, look, we're litigating that.
Do they care about black people and their health? Of course not. This whole entire thing is about give me your vote, black people. That's all I want. I want your vote. I don't care about you. I don't care about your children. I don't care about the drugs. I don't care about the unwed mothers. I don't care about the black unemployment rates. I don't care about any of it. I just want your vote. Some people are asking me, Josh, why is it so important for President Trump to have a black vice president? Well, shit, I just showed you right there, among a million other reasons. And you know what the main reason is? Because the right black conservative would then be able to go into the black communities and show them what a real black conservative viewpoint looks like. Then they can say, wow, the Democrats believe in high crime and crack and fentanyl and bringing illegals in and stealing our jobs and all these other different things. This guy doesn't sound like the Democrats. No, he doesn't, because he's a black conservative who loves this country, who can then differentiate. That's the important part here. Differentiate between leftism and conservatism and pro-America. And that's the number one reason why. But also, politically speaking, because I will admit that, if they somehow ascend heels up headboard Harris to the top of the ticket, which I am still at least iffy, thinking that they might, we cannot be caught flat-footed. And what is being flat-footed? Well, honestly, being flat-footed is having a white VP. Now, am I going to cry and be upset if it's, someone like J.D. Vance or whoever else? No, I'm going to get behind it because we have to win. But do I think that a black conservative on the ticket with President Trump is the better way to go when we have historic black support right now for President Trump? 22 to 25%? You put a black conservative like Dr. Ben Carson or Byron Donalds on the ticket? Hell, at this point, he's kind of a rhino, but at this point, I would settle for Tim Scott. I honestly would. Over Vance, Burgum, or anyone else. Because you can kick that number up to 7, 8, 9, 10% higher. And you know what you're doing? Every single election starts out with a minimum of 10 to 11 to as many as 12% deficit for every Republican in every race, no matter what position they're running for, including the presidency, because of their voter fraud. So how do you compensate for that? Well, you take 10% away. You take 10% back of their voting base to at least start on an even platform. That's what you do, okay? That's what you do. Now, who's he going to pick? I don't know. But you know what? I'm going to play one more thing because this right here, you've got to hear. This is President Trump talking to Brian Kilmeade. I don't know why he likes this guy, but for whatever reason he does. And it's very short. It's like 59 seconds, okay? There's no reason to show it as a video because it's all sound. But it's important because there's some clues here. There is some clues here. So listen carefully. I'll probably stop the video at certain points when I want to make a point. But let me make sure the volume's up. So here, listen closely.
Word is that you won't pick J.D. Vance because of his facial hair. Is that true?
No,
facial hair.
I've never heard that one.
Number two.
No.
Okay, so J.D. Vance obviously has facial hair. I cannot remember in the last, 25, 30 years at least, a vice president that has facial hair. Can you remember one? I'm trying to think. Let's see. George H. Walker Bush with Reagan? No, right? You had Dick Cheney with George W. Bush? No. You had Biden with Obama? No. Even the candidates that didn't win, like John Kerry and John Edwards? No. President Trump, Mike Pence? No. I can't think of too many, okay? Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. So it's a legitimate question to bring up. Now, maybe it is and maybe it isn't, because today's day, I mean, you've got people with face tattoos getting jobs and purple and green hair and fucking nose rings and everything else, right? I get it. But who knows? Maybe there's some old-fashioned people out there that see the beard and they don't trust. I don't know. Okay, I'm just throwing it out there. All right? I'm bald, and I got this on my face, so hopefully I can keep your attention off of this and onto here. All right? That's the truth. So anyway, so J.D. Vance could certainly be a possibility, because then he says he looks like a young Abraham Lincoln.
Doug
Burgum, the thing that hurts,
like a young Abraham Lincoln.
Right, he's a handsome man. Doug
He's
Burgum,
a nice guy.
On abortion in North Dakota, he signed something legislation handed him. Does that hurt him?
Well, it's a little bit of an issue. It's a pretty strong ban. You know, I think Doug is great, but it is a strong. He's taken a very strong stance, or the state has. I don't know if it's Doug, but the state has.
Yeah.
It's an issue.
It's an issue. So he's saying that the left is going to attack the abortion thing, right? Roe v. Wade being overturned, all that good stuff. And he's now saying, do I want to exacerbate the problem by putting Burgum on, who has been actually pro-life and signed some pretty strong pro-life legislation? So it might not be him, okay? Now, here's the last one.
And lastly, Marco Rubio.
An issue.
Marco Rubio and being from Florida, would that stop you from picking him?
No, but it does make it more complicated. You know, you do that, and it makes it more complicated. There are people that don't have that complication.
So there it is. There are people that don't have that complication. Burgum, he thinks, would be a distraction, or at least somewhat of a distraction. J.D. Vance, I don't honestly know. But maybe it's not those three. I don't know. I'm hoping it's not those three. I seriously hope it's not Marco. That would be a disaster. Because the rally that I just showed you yesterday, there was a part where he was introducing people, right? In the rally, if you watch the entire thing. And at one point, he scared the living daylights out of me, because he said something about Marco Rubio, and he said, "Oh, well, Marco, well, you won't be in the Senate. Well, you might be in a different, capacity. Watch it again. You'll see what I'm talking about." And I stopped and I went, "Oh no, oh goodness, please tell me it's not Marco." So I don't know. Hopefully, it's not him. Look, at this point, like I said, I would take Tim Scott, honestly, because I think it would help us win. Do I want him? No. I want either Dr. Ben Carson or Byron Donalds. Now, if you're going to go for the long term after Trump, then yes, Byron Donald makes the most sense. He's young. He's charismatic. He's excellent speaking. He's a great fighter. He would be someone phenomenal. After Trump, is done with his term, bam, you've got Byron Donalds for the next 4 to 8 years. So yes, I love that idea. But also name recognition. Yin and yang, a calming, quieting voice in President Trump's ear, and somebody with experience, been part of his cabinet, and most importantly, loyalty. Those are the reasons why I like Dr. Ben Carson. But I'm not the one choosing. So hopefully he's going to choose wisely, and it should be coming up probably at the convention is when I think he said. Now, I'll save. I have one more thing, but I'll save it for when I'm not on the recording and I'm talking to my folks here on Full Access Friday. So anyway, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one. Hey, Josh Bernstein here, America's favorite bald badass. Did you know that Bill O'Reilly charges $6.95 a month to see his content? Or how about the Blaze TV, who charges $10 a month? Or you could always subscribe to the Ben Shapiro podcast at $12 a month. But If you are looking for the best value and the most hardest hitting news, you've come to the right spot. Because here at JoshBernsteinUncensored.com, we drop the most jaw-dropping stories 7 days a week, starting at only $3 a month. So, please head on over to the New Releases tab, become an exclusive member of the Badass Nation, and join the fight to save this country with one of America's most hated, feared, and censored conservative voices. Remember, if it's banned on social media, you'll find it here. God bless.